Do we ban the words Nazi and fascist? Probably not.
Me personally, I think we should draw the line at being an ERUDITE supporter.
Based. All right, tell people who you are.
My name's Andrew. I am a fellow member of the Unfuck America tour. So I saw the little exchange you had with Steven at the CSU event.
I've been frustrated by your peers' performance, and particularly the leaning into the ratcheting things up. We're just driving normal people further away, not because they're making the most rational decision, but because they are the audience that gets to decide the winner. And I'm terrified that you are driving the audience to look at us as the villains, and I don't want the left to be the villains.
The thing that I guess I would fight for right now, rather than just the, whether or not you look unhinged on us, I think there should be a fight for the framing. In a system where Donald Trump can make violent statement after violent statement after violent statement after violent statement, if somebody could look at a random person on the left and go, wow, this is too much for me, that system is deeply broken, and I think it's worth having the fight there rather than to constantly play into the right-wing framing.
Yeah.
I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between for a while over one day I'll be in full agreement with your stance on this, and then the next day I'm like, nah, Steven's right, and then the next day I come back. So I've been having the back and forth bouncing for a little bit now, and I was wondering, I just wanted to kind of hash it out because I think there are clear aspects of his worldview on this that are undeniable in their entirety. And then I think there are clear aspects of your worldview, especially I think you slay on the on the optics portion of this, where his methodology looks horrific to an outsider. My problem is I just cannot justify whether or not that matters at all. I don't necessarily think it does.
Anyway, what do you think elections are? If essentially popularity contests.
I was just going back over this the exchange you guys had with Stream in preparation for this, and I think a kind of disconnect that you guys had is he specifically doesn't care about that at the moment, and I think his justification for not caring is logical.
I think unless you actually think that the elections are rigged and that genuine voting won't happen, you should care about that. There's no reason not to care about the audience's perception of the boxing match.
Yeah, I would agree. But my issue isn't necessarily whether or not I agree with you. Like I said, I go back and forth. My issue is that I can't disprove part of, there's a certain part of his logic, which I will get into, that I don't know if you can disprove. Let me exemplify it with this example, right? In 2016, in Trump's first term, the entirety of his first term, we all knew stuff was fucked, right? It was this guy is bad. He's fucking up our country. This is awful. We have to win the 2020 elections. And then we did. And for the Biden's term, as rough as things were at certain portions, mostly COVID and inflation related, as rough as things were, it's okay, fuck it, we're saved, we're good. Well, 2024 comes along,
but I feel like whenever we retell this history, we just forget how alt media was handled in all of those years, and how basically all conservative voices were banned in all of these spaces. Just genuinely, they were just nuked from orbit. You basically couldn't be a conservative content creator on Twitch for sure, and it was tough on YouTube.
Sure, I don't know. I don't think I would push back on that, nor do I think it. But the point mostly is that saved from the fascistic threat that was perceived, right?
I think the issue is, I don't know. I'm
especially
not
post January 6th. I think that's a hard. It's January 6th happens. We're holy fucking shit. He's tried to steal the election, and then none of that works out. Biden's in office. Okay, all right, that's not an issue. We're good to go.
Sure. January 6th was really bad, insofar as less so of what happened. What happened was pretty crazy, but more so the spirit of what was intended.
The spirit of the attempt, right? Yeah, of course. It's
intended to happen. Well, the issue is that when a lot of people talk about J6, they make it sound like the event itself was so bad, and it's what was bad was the intent. And
it was what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
So, all of that being said, 2024 comes around, and he wins again, and I don't think you would disagree with this characterization at all. It's so much worse this time, right?
Way worse. I like it. Okay. The question is, was he like that in 2016? Or was he not at all like that? And we made a beast. I have no idea.
I would argue this isn't the point of this conversation, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. But my argument would be that he would have liked to have been. He didn't understand government enough to do it at the time. He learned plenty of lessons from his first term and came back and installed sycophants everywhere he could. Now he can get away with anything he wants.
Maybe.
Okay, but regardless, none of that technically matters. Here's where I think Destiny's view is currently at, and I don't know if I can actually logically fight this much at all. Given that happened, what happens if we win 2028? Conservative mindsets don't change at all in the 4 years that our new Democrat president is around. 2032 comes around, and we end up right back in the same spot. A Republican wins, they get a trifecta. Well, they probably, let's assume the Supreme Court composition doesn't change too much in that time. So they end up with a trifecta, and we're back in the same position, and we get the same escalation between that term that we got between the 2016 Trump term and the 2024 Trump term.
If things don't start fixing,
another 10x worse in 2032.
Sure, yeah, then we're heading towards the end of democracy, like as it is, obviously. Like if
I think at that point we're there. It's like, okay, well, and wartime. Yeah,
basically.
And I think that's where Destiny is, and I think that from everything I've seen, just from the first 9 months of this term, I don't even know if I could logically fight that.
I don't know. I feel like whenever I look back at like the reason why civil wars and stuff happened and like the fallout of it, it's just like, guys, this is like literally the worst fucking possible outcome, and things were like fucking insane. Like if you look at like the revolution that like led to America, the colonies like separating from Britain, it was like fucking insane, the shit that was happening. Like we aren't really there. We also have a lot of
Actually, you hit on something that I wanted to bring up. I want to stop right there. I wanted to bring this up too. The thing that nobody talks about, nobody thinks about for the American Revolution is that fucking nobody wanted to do it. The American colonists did not want to revolt at all. They tried they tried to plead with the king over and over and over and over, like, hey, please just be a little less unhinged. We have no interest in breaking away from you at all. And it was only when it was very fucking clear that he was never going to relent that they're like, all right, fuck it. God damn it. We have to.
Yeah. War is the worst.
I don't see that from America right now. I see half the country begging for it.
Oh, you mean Republicans?
Yeah.
I see a lot of Republican pundits. Most of the Republicans that I talk to, when I'm like, how do you feel about that? They're like, oh no, that's not good. Like we don't want civil war. That's bad.
You're getting that from normies?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I've had a scary amount of normies be like, I think it's fucking based. I think it's about time. I'm like, okay, you're terrifying.
The issue is like the moment that you interrogate the realness of that, right? Like, okay, what are people saying? And then what do they actually believe? And when you interrogate the realness of the position, pretty quickly, most people are like, oh yeah, I guess like war's not actually good. And we should like slow things down.
Sure. I'll completely take that.
It's Antifa retards saying like, what revolution doesn't have blood? And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like you love Uber. Okay. Like nobody thinks like,
I'll completely take that at face value. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. If we like continue in the way that we are and the left stays as toxic and ineffective and unhealthy as it is, and the right stays as toxic and effective and unhealthy as it is, yeah, democracy will die. But the issue is like, the real conversation is, what are the off-ramps to that, right? There's Republican off-ramps that need to be taken that I agree are not being taken, and that is bad. And I think we should continue to criticize Republicans for that and keep holding them accountable for their like lack of patriotic value. Like they're just celebrating the decay of their own country. That's bad, right? You're economically getting nerfed right now, and you're like being like, I mean, whatever. The issue is like before this Kirk killing, Trump was down. Like he's really popular with especially his core base, but he's actually one of the least popular presidents, right? And he was down hard, like the Triple B, not being well received by anyone. Like it has been bad for him. He was down like 24 points. I believe the Epstein stuff has him down like a major amount of points. So it's like there's ways to pull back on this. The issue is like the Democrats have to take back the culture. They need to be effective at it. And ideally they need to build a culture that will ensure that the culture that they create won't make the right go crazy. Because right now the right is building a culture that is making the left go crazy, right? And it's understandable why the left is going crazy. The issue is like before then the left was building a culture that made the right kind of go crazy. And we also have to take account for that. And until both sides go, you know what we need? A strong left and a strong right. Like things are bad, but the only way that we achieve that future of derailing tragedy is by being a person who's trying to derail tragedy.
I completely agree, but I feel like everything we're talking about right now is just inherently just truisms, right, across the board. The like spitting of truisms isn't really like doesn't really get us anywhere. The question is like, how do you actually accomplish that? I totally agree that you said like one thing that's like super true. Like upon like slight reflection, it's like, hey, I should just write about that. And that the Civil War rhetoric is like 99.9% just coming from pundits at the moment, right? But the more interesting question is, how thin is the veil between punditry and the average person, and what does it take to push the average person into the opinions of pundits? If it is the case, like your issue here with Stephen is the fear that his rhetoric, that his way of handling this is going to just make him look bad, and by the transitive property make us look bad as Democrats as a whole. But then secondly, that people might come like believe him and be like, you know what, he's fucking right. This is the way forward. If you can possibly muster that fear in terms of Stephen's rhetoric, then it must be the same on the other side, right? Like there must be some fear that like the Civil War talk coming from Republican pundits is going to trickle down to the average Republican. No?
Yeah, of course.
So then how do you? I just don't know how to solve that problem, because the suggestion you had was we need to keep criticizing Republicans, but have we not been doing that infinitely forever?
Well, the issue is we need to criticize Republicans well. A lot of the issues is like the way that we massively fumbled the bag from like when we had culture in like 2016 to like 2022, we fucked it. We were so fucking stupid. It was so utterly embarrassing when you look back, right? Because we thought that we won the culture war, but mostly what we did is ban people who disagreed with us, and then like thought that we won, when in reality it just turned a lot of people away. And we also let fucking insane cultural norms take over to the point that like normal people are like, I feel like I can't even like maybe voice that like, some of this like non-binary like trans kid stuff is kind of weird and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like you couldn't even say that, right? And so it's like in like social spaces. So people grew to deeply hate the left because there was like this social culling and pressure of free speech. Like people don't like that. And the reality is like the right is going to fumble the bag too, because right now it has the head of the culture war. It's clearly not learning the lessons that it should have. They're in fact doing all of the bad shit that the left was doing. And so if the left wants to be effective, like what can they do? Okay, well, the left has to shrink the tent to what a liberal Democrat is so that it becomes understandable as something that people can identify with. Because nobody wants to look at the freaks shouting like, Kirk is dead and identify with that person. Nobody wants to be that person. But what is the left? Because mostly that's what people know the left to be, right? Like most normies think the left is like, they're like, yeah, those are like a little bit more extreme, but most left people like are going to get mad at you if you like don't use the right pronouns and if you like use any certain language, and they don't like the word retard, and they like welfare and shit like that, So what is the left? We probably need to shrink the tent. Should probably stop letting fucking communists be staff in our, thought leaders, major pundits that are like working with politicians. We should probably stop doing that. It also has to develop a prominent alternative media apparatus to contend with politics. But the problem is that anytime somebody tries to make an effective media apparatus, the further left group that we keep on trying to appease, like the Taylor Lorenz, nuke it, like in the chorus situation, and blow it up and make everyone not feel comfortable with it. Or when that doesn't happen, nothing even gets off the ground because the chattering class and the funders on the left always attach strings and ropes for their pet projects to a media apparatus that content creators don't want to play ball with because, sorry, you want to help fund and like get my content everywhere? I don't really want to talk about Latino ideas. And they're like, well, if you don't talk about Latino stuff, then we won't fund you. It's like, fuck you. Like, what the fuck is this stupid shit? Okay. Third, we need to abandon many, if not all, elite views that make you boring at parties, hard to get along with, and fucking weird. We need to like stop being academic elitist weirdos that can't hang. It's a problem, right? That's something that the progressives were good at. They were counterculture. They were cool. That's kind of why we shook hands with them. The issue is they're not cool anymore. And the liberals never figured out how to be cool. Ever. They just never did it. We just don't value like aesthetic. And they should also get back at what they're really good at, which is monopolizing creativity and showing strong business and strong nightlife. but people don't want to leave their house. People are constantly afraid to hang out with their friends because they might say something wrong. They're like attached to their phones, and we make it unbearable to hang out with a lot of the left because we're constantly held captive in a social group by the most woke person in the space.
All right, I'm moderate enough. I'm actually like, oh fuck, I don't know. I say like centrist because there's probably like ultimately, if you boiled down both sides to their 2016 standards, I'd probably be I'd lean more right than left probably. Anyway, sure. All of that to say, I agree with everything you just said inherently because of that like moderateness. Okay. The problem is that strategy works only if and only if two things. If and only if we smoke Republicans in 26 and 8 and then continue to do so. And alongside that, Republicans change their ways, like this whole Trumpism, authoritarian, authoritarian sympathies. If all that goes away, then everything you just said works, and we're good to go, and we should be fine for the future. Okay, like America's not going to crumble at least this century. However, if we take 26 and 8 and then just immediately lose it all again in 30 and 32, then that's out the window. And then secondly,
assuming,
if they don't change.
No, that's
if
not.
They don't change,
well,
we're
I'm going to pause you.
again.
No, I'm going to pause you. Assuming that they don't change in the 2 elections that they lose, right? The issue is that like politicians are paid.
They lost 2 and they didn't change. What? They got worse.
They lost 1, right? They lost 2020.
Then they kind of have a fucking rough ass time in 18.
Like in the primaries and midterms. They always have midterms are always bad for Republicans. That's like
so that's what I'm saying.
I would say that's true. That's not meaningful to like Republicans or Republican like politicians. It's most Republican politicians are probably
so in 32, if they take a fat ass L in 28 and don't change, then yeah. But my point would be they did in 20 and then didn't change at all. In fact, they got worse in many ways. In every way, really.
They did get worse, but the issue is there's a couple of issues.
You would say that was the left's fault that they got worse.
Well, it's both of their faults, right? Like it's both the culture that happened, but also Republicans selling out to oligarchs, right? Like it's both. Like the Republicans, I guess, I hate that I always have to say this when we have these conversations. I'm left. Have a default assumption that I don't really love Republican principles. There's a reason I'm not fucking right wing. There's just a reason for it, right? I don't agree with it, and I don't like them, right? So it's both, right? The right is bad in large part because they decided to sell out to bad principles. That's bad for themselves, right? It's not solely the right's fault because it is constantly a dance going on between both parties. A strong left and a strong right requires them to have some level of synergy. And I would say that this is true for the left right now. I think the right, as much as they hate how the left is acting, I'm like, then stop fucking inciting war and they'll probably chill out. Like, don't get mad at the left. Stop being fucking insane and they'll probably chill out. Fuck, what was your other question in there? Oh.
Well, it's saying that like this whole like thing of like, okay, the left needs to moderate itself and chill the fuck out and discover like who they really are and like behave on our side, then things can cool down. My point being that only works if they actually change their behavior.
Sure, I agree, but we can't.
If they don't, then none of it matters, right?
If we're viewing this like a game, which is like what Steven is doing, right? There is no reason that we should be tying our win condition to something we can't even control, right? All we can do right now is make the left more compelling and hope that the left becomes compelling enough consistently and has an effective media apparatus, because right now we just don't have an effective media because we're still doing mainstream shit, right? That people are pulled to our side consistently to such a degree that Republicans go, oh, the Trump meta is a losing strategy now. Now we have to change. And in that change, God, I hope Republicans find fucking values in the midst of that. And we should try to work alongside Republicans that have fucking values to like try to encourage that. But it's ultimately going to be up to the Republicans to like right themselves. What the left should be concerned about is being compelling enough that we are consistently reaching the hearts and having effective alt media so that we can reach the voters.
And generally I would agree with you. I think like where he would divert a little bit, and this is actually the most important part of this entire conversation, because this is the part of his thing where I just kind of can't get away from in the back of my head, is that whilst it is so totally true that the only thing we can really, really technically do is just try to make ourselves so compelling that we just don't lose elections anymore. his view is that there must be some way to convince Republicans that it is in their own best interest to change their own behavior. And that is the kind of theory here of like, oh, you want me to denounce political violence? Have your fucking president do it first, right? It's in your best interest to change your behavior, and then everyone will change their behavior. That's the idea.
It's just a bad look when you're mocking a widow. I'm sorry, when you're like walking.
It definitely looks bad. There's no doubt.
It's not just that it looks bad. It's inhuman. Like any human person can't connect with that. Like it is fundamentally breaks our conception of how like the social paradigm should work. Widows, unfortunately, of assassination kind of get maximal social benefit of the doubt. They just do. And you might be like, yeah, but they're using it for political aims and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's true. And it's kind of weird. And you can say that privately and publicly. Unfortunately, she gets to do whatever the fuck she wants with her grief, including weaponizing it to do political ends so that her husband's dream doesn't die. She's allowed to do that. It kind of makes sense. We would expect somebody on the left to do the same thing.
Sure. Did you have because I agree with that, because I agree with that, like there's nothing you can say about there's nothing you can say to or about her that's not going to look fucking unhinged. It's just impossible.
Yep.
Do you have particular feelings about the comment? He's been getting a lot of shit for the comment about saying like Republicans should be afraid to go out in their events. Do you have particular feelings about that comment?
Yeah,
because I think it exemplifies perfectly the point I'm trying to drive home. So
I don't know why Republicans should be afraid to go out to their own events. Like the reality is that everyone should be afraid of going out to their events because political violence is ratcheting up. But I don't want Republicans to feel like Republicans will feel more afraid in the same way that liberals do too. And I think that that's bad for everyone. I don't want anyone to feel afraid.
Sure. I'm going to translate that to what I take that to mean. I think what he's getting at is that every side should feel the true weight of the consequences of the whatever they're participating in, right? So when he's saying Republicans should be afraid, he doesn't mean it in like a threatening tone or like a threatening way of like I'm trying to incite my fans to violence. That you should be afraid in that type of way. I don't look at it like in like a incitement to violence type of way, more so in a your actions would be different if you were afraid. For instance, if it was the case, if it was absolutely true that Republicans now, Republican pundits, because I mean, if anything, Republican pundits are the people that have the most to fear at the moment, right? One of them got killed. So inherently, the rest of them have the biggest reason of anyone to be afraid. If that was the case, though, if they really, 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 truly were terrified at the moment, there's no universe in which they would be like almost unanimously calling for civil war, correct?
Not necessarily true.
So if you're afraid of something happening to you, you should feed into the system that would allow that thing to happen to you?
Well, the issue is that they're in their minds, like if we're taking their position, right? What they're afraid of is like them having a rally and an assassin showing up and like mass shooting. In the case of like civil war, right? Now everyone's fucking dying, right? So like when you're talking about like inciting violence, like part of it is not that serious to me because I think that people like just are babies. I think I've realized that just like both sides are fucking children when it comes to violence. They have like no conception of what war is, right? And so are they participating in the exact thing? Yeah, because like their anger at his death is greater right now when they're making that tweet than their fear of going out in public. But when they go out in public, they might start like worrying a little bit more about that tweet that they made the other day. You know, like it's like people are not at all times working in like the long-term most rational things. This is why like people who are in like lawsuits might keep posting publicly when they shouldn't otherwise be posting because like we do shit that's against like our greater thing that we should value all the time.
True. I would give them that benefit of the doubt probably the first 72 hours after. But it's been longer than that, and we still have Republican pundits making the same dumbass comments. So I don't know if I would give them that same charity anymore. It kind of seems like...
I'm not giving pundits any charity. I'm not even giving pundits the first charity.
I would give them the first charity. Like, look, in the first like day or two, you're fucking furious. You're upset. Like, you're going to say stupid ass shit. But if after 2-3 days you delete those tweets and you're like, all right, guys, look, we got to calm down. All right, we got to chill. Then I'll be like, okay, he came to his senses. The problem is that has not happened. If it's still the same for a lot of people. And the point I think that he was trying to drive home there is if there was that true fear of, oh my God, my life is in danger, I would think that after a while you would come to your senses and be like, I think I need to do what I can on my side to push the rhetoric in a down, or, the heat into a downward direction. But we're not seeing that. And what's going on there?
I think right-wing pundits a large portion of them, like the right wing is really effective at unifying behind like a greater goal. And it's pretty clear that right now Trump's goal is absolutely not to cool things down. I also suspect that right wing pundits, like the mainstream ones especially, are very much chasing bot likes, and saying inciting stuff gets them more and more engagement, which is why they keep doing it. I think that this is true of the left, like the fringe left, like Hassan's and these type of, and like Jackson Hinkle's and stuff, although I don't even know if he's a fucking left person anymore. I think they're also oftentimes chasing like Russian and Chinese bots that are like always liking the insightful stuff. The problem is that like on the Republican punditry side, their leader is like setting the tone for like what they're talking about. And so like while they're like talking about civil like violence being like bad and how they're like worried about it and also like inciting, I think it's because like they're not thinking about this. First of all, they're not thinking about this like game theory, and second of all of their tweets that are like inflammatory and all these things go fucking viral all the time. So they're going to keep leaning into it because content creators are going to keep milking the thing that's working.
Okay. The argument that I would like to present is that I think, along with Stephen, this is the point that he made. I just agree. I don't think that they're actually afraid of the consequences of their actions in any way, shape, or form ever. By example of this is the Trump v. US decision. When that decision was made, every single person on the left was fucking horrified because they're like, holy Jesus Christ, the president is immune from criminal liability. Oh God, not one Republican gave a solitary fuck, because there is no concern from the right that Joe Biden is going to go do a whole slew of criminally actions that he would be found criminally liable for, and he's going to get away with it because he's now immune from that. But we know Trump will. So we are actually we have a true, genuine fear of the consequences of bad actions. I don't think that they do, and I think they showed it as soon as that decision came down from SCOTUS. It was like, oh, you're not afraid of what Biden would do. You never were, because you're not talking about this at all like it's horrible. But we were horrified on our side.
Maybe maybe it's a mind read. Like, you guys are mind reading in such a way. You can. Unfortunately, like, it's a mind read. I don't really have a super strong weighing in on like whether they're legitimately afraid of civil war or not. I think that they don't care, but why the fuck would most pundits care about like civil war? Are they being like maybe too carte blanche and should be like more concerned about like genuine assassinations? Probably, but I think a lot of them like probably genuinely believe that they'd rather like die for free speech than like be silenced. I think that that's probably decently legitimate from a lot of them. Like they would accept death.
True.
I just think that,
but I think I wouldn't criticize that if that's what I believe. If that's where I believed it was coming from, like they're saying like I would rather just have a civil war than have free speech go away. Then I wouldn't even criticize that. I would join. I would agree. I'd be like, yeah, I mean, me too. I'll die for it if I have to.
Well, more like they don't.
The Constitution.
They don't.
But I don't think that's what's happening.
No. I think like Ben Shapiro, when he thinks about like what he's saying and stuff, like really, I think he most people probably take for granted that civil war is very far away and very unlikely to happen. Like, I think a lot of people, even though they're like inciting it, especially like on the side that is the one doing the inciting, I think the thing feels very far away. There might be some level of confidence of like, well, if a civil war happens, we've got all the guns, we've got all the military, we'll probably just dumpster them anyways. I don't think most people are thinking that much about that. Probably like when I try to think about like how these humans are interacting, these very non-human humans, because they're pundits, are they worried about a civil war? No, they're probably more legitimately worried about an assassination attempt. But I think a lot of them genuinely believe that they would be willing to die to continue to like say what they say, because I think that a lot of them believe what they're saying. And so like, I guess to some extent, I agree that they should be, I don't know if they care about a civil war necessarily. They care more about assassinations. I just don't think they think that a civil war is likely. Like, most of them don't think that they're inciting civil war.
By saying that we should have one.
What?
You don't think that they think they're inciting civil war by saying that there should be a civil war?
That's not what I said.
You said you don't think a lot of them think that they're inciting civil war, but a lot of them are saying we should have one.
Yeah.
Unless I missed something.
Yes.
So like that is the view, that you think like a lot of like conservative pundits don't think that saying we should have a civil war is inciting to civil war?
I think a lot of them would say
because they view it so far away that like they think that like nothing they could say is actually inciting a civil war because it's just not a thing that's going to happen.
I think their feelings feel so justified in their rage that when they say like, yeah, we should have this thing, they basically would say like, well, it's not inciting, like it's not going to happen. I'm not trying to incite civil war. And probably if you push them more, they go, if it happened, then it has to happen. I believe in this thing, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like we keep it. I don't know. It feels like you're ascribing to them.
I would agree with that.
AD
the thing is, I would agree with that. No, it's not even that. My whole take, and I think, I mean, he's not here to say it, but I think this is kind of his Stephen's whole point is when you say, when you're on Twitter, when you're a fucking huge Republican, you're a huge pundit, millions of followers, and you're on Twitter saying we should have a civil war, you should. The fact that you're saying that, this totally agree. Like, the thing is, I agree with what you're saying.
The main ones I see, like, actually explicitly saying have a civil war is like Tim Pool, but he's always saying, I literally just disregard Tim Pool. I'm pretty sure he's just chasing bots. I don't think he believes anything he's saying on Twitter. He's chasing bot likes. Is Matt Walsh?
I think there's a non-zero chance he is a bot.
I think Matt Walsh is the main one that you could point to and go, I would say is explicitly. Most of the others that talked about it, they like fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene said, well, I want a civil, peaceful divorce, right? So it's like, she's literally running away from the Civil War thing. She's like, I want to be separate from them, but not through war, right? Like, the only one that I think is like Matt Walsh, and I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Walsh is somewhat knowingly inciting civil war. He just doesn't care. Because he knows the rhetoric is is like violent enough. He probably knows he's rich, that he could flee, right? Like he's probably just not that worried about civil war. He probably thinks that he'll win. I don't think that, like, even Tim Pool, is he inciting it or fear mongering about it? I think a lot of them would probably say that they're fear mongering about it, right? Like, a lot of the people that you could point to, like even like Trump, like, I hate my enemies and stuff like that. I'm like never willing. He's like not willing to denounce belief. If you get into the mindset of a conservative, again, now I guess I need to say this, I disagree with them. I think it is fundamentally inciting violence, but the way that they would likely view this is, I'm not trying to incite it. I'm saying that this is going to happen. I'm saying that this is what's going to happen. I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's a bad thing. Like, they're fear mongering more than they're trying to be like, yes, let's do it. Arm up. In the way that, like, Vosh was saying, like, arm up, or the revolutionary Antifa losers are saying arm up, right? They're more so fear mongering about it in a way that I would point to and go, this is just inciting.
Sure. I don't know. This isn't relevant, but I would say whenever you get the fucking weirdo Antifa people calling for revolution, I think that there is a really, really spooky, scary difference between them saying it and, like, conservatives saying it. Because if we were to have some sort of revolution or civil war,
there's more
tankies. The tankies of America are getting fucking smoked quick.
The right has teeth to their bone.
The right would probably win, to be honest. So it's scary there. Versus when Vosh says, I'm like, shut up, bitch. Like, you're gonna get ran through.
Sure. It's also
not that that's relevant. It's just a little scarier.
Just to, like, caution people on what they assume. I just don't know where the temperature of the population is at, right? Like, I had my experiences at Colorado, which was conservatives being very calm, very vehemently being like, oh, Trump said that? No, that's bad. Like, that's not okay, right? We had several conservatives come up on mic and denounce their own conservatives and be like, guys, like, we do need to cool things down. Like, I want to have a good conversation, right? And then we also saw conservatives screaming, like, slurs and clearly, like, not leaning against. So, like, I grant that there are both of these camps. The question is, the one camp screaming and inciting is really loud, and they're probably also getting botted like crazy by Russia and China.
Pepe LAG invested $9.99.
Oh my gosh, I finally got a super chat. That's crazy.
Shu is sad because all of her friends and her husband are right-wing.
Now I need
Lefties dumped her over trivial BS, and now she's in a big echo chamber. You should reach out and be her token liberal friend.
Okay. Holy shit, that fucking stun locked my brain. Inciting, fear-mongering. bots. So it's really hard for me to get a pulse on what the actual population feels, because even now, when you look at the polling on Trump, I think he's like one of the, if not now, the most unpopular president in history, right? So it's like, yeah, the MAGA people are rabid for him, and they're trying to milk that fucking cash cow for as long as they can. And there's some MAGA people in everyone's personal life that everyone knows and can think of that's really fucking obnoxious about it. And then there's a whole bunch of MAGA people and conservatives that we're never thinking of or ever even thinking about talking to, that probably have a lot more reasonable takes, especially when they're not in their echo chamber, right? Like, how much of this inciting and this craziness is groupthink? How much of it is bots? And how much of it is like the silent majority not speaking up against it? And I have genuinely no idea, because I don't even have the idea on my left side. I thought most of us on the left agreed that like celebrating the assassination of a political opponent, even if it was somebody who we disagreed with a lot with, is really, really bad. But there is a lot more people than I am comfortable with celebrating it than I even thought, right? Going to Colorado and seeing the fucking chalk writing about like, there's no peace for fascists. We won't mourn fascists. It's kind of like, maybe this is worse than I thought it was, right? I don't think anyone has a super good pulse on like what real people think. And that's really concerning.
Sure. Yeah. I think to wrap up a little bit, I think descriptively, I agree with you pretty much 100%. I think your like observations of the situation are very, very
or disagreeing with him doesn't matter if they turn around and vote for him.
I'm sorry, pause. My fucking super chat is going off again.
Yeah,
I just need to figure out how to pause it. It should be good now. Go ahead. From the top.
Yeah, descriptively, I think you're bang on. I think you've got your observations are right on, nailed it. The prescription of it feels like a level of pacificity that just is untenable. If for no other reason than because the most important thing over the next 10 years is whether or not the Republicans, mostly Republican pundits and politicians. I think you nailed it with the average person is not this much of a psycho. And when you tell them about these Trump actions and these Trump statements, they're like, whoa, what the fuck? I've experienced that exact same thing in my own life, debating people, doing like TikTok debates, talking to people in real life. I've experienced that exact same phenomena. So I think you're right again there. But Republican politicians and Republican pundits changing their tune, changing their behavior, changing their fucking views on some things, coming a little more inwards, like, hey, fascism's not cool. And I don't mean like fascism in like the leftists call everything a fascist type way. I mean like legitimately. So I think that is the most important thing. That's like one thing that absolutely 100% non-negotiable has to happen over the next couple of years. And I don't know if the pacifism prescription, and I don't mean pacifism as in like, fuck it, we should have a war. I mean like let's all just be super nice and don't say anything mean about Erica and let's all chill the fuck out. I don't know if that achieves that goal at all.
Sure. From Scorn One says, the Republicans saying what Trump said was bad or disagreeing with him doesn't matter if they turn around and vote for him. And she was sad because all her friends and her husband are right-wing. Lefties dumped her over trivial bullshit and now she's in a big echo chamber. You should reach out and be our token liberal friend. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree that if they turn around and vote for him, it's really bad. The issue is that we have had deeply unelectable people for a lot of, Biden switching for Kamala Harris was fucking insane. It was just insane. I understand why it happened, but it's like, we were nerfed. We were so fucked. Hillary Clinton, I'm sorry, the shit that they pulled with Bernie during Hillary's run was deplorable. Like, deplorable behavior. Painting Bernie bros as misogynist and all this shit because he was just popular was disgusting. And it was this classic Democrat thing that the Republicans have somehow stopped doing, which is that when the people really love a politician, the Democrats are like, well, we don't really love him, so we're gonna like fucking nuke him, right? Like, everyone should look at the Clinton election and be ashamed of Democrats. It was insane. Even if you say, as Chat's saying, Bernie was still not going to win, then why the fuck paint him the way that they did? There's no need for it. There's literally no need for it. It was an abomination. Clinton was a terrible choice, a terrible fucking choice. She's so utterly unelectable because she's been a war hawk for like 30 years. So her own base doesn't even like her that much. It was fucking stupid. So like, I don't know. I get frustrated with these conversations when the left is like, yeah, but like, don't you agree that the right is so bad? It's like, why the fuck? I'm part of Unfuck America tour. I don't know what else I need to do to perform that I like agree with you on this. The issue is, maybe this is like my bad. I kind of believe in the stoic belief that like all you can control is you, right? So all the left can control is ourselves. And our win condition cannot be tied to Trump and Republicans smartening up. We just can't do it. And so we need better answers. Even if I agree that we're at a disadvantage right now and things are really hard and there are double standards erected where we punish the left for that we just don't care what the Republicans do, I would just grant all of this shit. And I would say we still need to act better. We still need to be denouncing violence, and we need to stop taking our conservative fatigue out on people and then calling it strategy. Just say that you're venting your anger. I'd accept that. But right now, we're increasingly seeing the left starting to double down on the destiny policy, which is that actually maybe we should be super nasty towards these people. And it's like, bro, we've been nasty to Republicans at least since 2016. Like, we were fucking awful to them. So like, we literally nuked them off of platforms. So I don't know what the fuck you're saying. We've been so nice and now we're being nasty. The difference is we just never fucking incited war, which is good. It's good that we have that high ground. That's awesome. We need a couple more.
Drew, the only issue I would take with anything you said is I don't think that, I think he does. I think Steven thinks that what he's doing right now is a strategy, and he thinks that it has a better chance of changing Republicans' minds. I think he believes that. I think he's wrong. My argument would be that neither your prescription nor his will change Republicans' minds. I think they're locked. I think the goal would be to scoop up some moderates and then activate as many left-wing voters as humanly possible.
Yeah,
because Republicans, they're never changing their minds ever. That's not happening.
Yeah, like deep red, but like nobody should ever be pursuing like the deep red or deep blue base.
No, well, electorally, no, never.
You're always pursuing the moderates. But the issue is,
electorally, no.
We need to figure out what we did to drive the moderates away, because
I mean, we kind of know, don't we?
I don't know if we do. I don't know if we do.
Well, who's we? I think we know.
Well,
like I said at the beginning of this,
2016,
I like if this was 2016, I would say I'm a Republican. If this was pre-Trump era, I would call myself a Republican. I just can't anymore because they've fucking lost the plot. But so yes, we know why we push them away.
Sure.
It's just a matter of, does the DNC know why we push them away?
But then all we do is fucking complain about Republicans all the fucking time, constantly. We're just constantly fucking complaining.
But they are worse. It's
and
like
yet
kind of
we're
logical.
losing to them. They're so much worse, principally and morally and all these things, and we are getting dumpstered by them over and over and over again.
Doesn't that say more about the average American than it does anything else? Like,
that's your voter.
If we can agree, if we can both agree, like, they are way worse.
Sure, maybe anyway. If it says something about your average American, then move or abandon democracy, right? Or you go, okay, well, the average American is people that we hopefully can believe in a little bit, that is maybe being propagandized to, because the right has a much more effective alt media machine, right? So they're being propagandized to. So we're clearly losing in the rhetoric and like propaganda machine, essentially. And we are deeply unlikable and can't hang. So we might have better policies. We do have better policies. But the veneer of the left says we care about the widow and the orphan and people of color. I'm just going to
The poll dollar E invested $5. The problem if the moderates is willing to vote for a person who created January 6th, then we're fucked.
They said the problem is if moderates are willing to vote for a person who created January 6th, then we're fucked. Most moderates don't even understand January 6th. Because the alt media pipeline is so effective on the right that they actually just don't know what to think of it. They have no idea. They're being like, is it an insurrection? Like, there is some bad stuff, but it doesn't seem like as bad as insurrection sounds. And again, you and I literally said, it's the spirit of what was being intended that was so bad. And it's like, nobody even understands enough about their own civics to understand what that is. That's like
the problem. You have to have so much background knowledge to understand what the fuck was what was like being perpetuated there.
Yeah, we're really, really, really bad at it. And we're also really bad at like blasting out and being super, super, super upset when like people get killed, in large part because like we never want to be on the side of the police. So we didn't get to take advantage of any of the police assaults in any way, shape, or form, right? Like, we just nuke ourselves constantly by being deeply unlikable. And because we made a deal with communists to like take over our political culture, that we became even more unlikable. Like, if we have this policy that would suggest that we're really nice, full of mercy, gentle people, and then people hang out with us and we just fucking suck all the time and get mad at you about words, the moderate's going to be driven away, right? And the policy stuff, the policy game, is so hard because it's really hard to communicate the complexity of policies that are needed in today's like markets. It's just really hard. I think that we have better policy and we should keep working on how to sell that policy, but we also have to win the media culture, and we are just taking big fat stinking L's.
Our media is dog shit. That is an absolute that's absolutely true, which is why UFA existing is dope and based. Not that it's like is more toward than media, but hey, we can always branch out. Secondly, on the point of J6 being horrific, but people just not knowing, what actually went down there. I blame that 100% on Destiny. Where the fuck is the J6 video? It's entirely his fault. Secondly, I'll end on this. So I was saving my personal anecdote for last because I think it exemplifies a huge problem that we face, and I don't know how to solve this. Maybe you'll have an idea of like, what can be done about this. So I dropped this into the UFA chat after it happened. I don't know if you saw after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and after Destiny started being a little unhinged. A little is underplaying it massively. After he started being unhinged on Twitter. And articles started getting written about it. He got featured on Fox News, I think. Yeah, all the works. My mom called me, and pled with me for about an hour. Pled with me, literally begging, that I leave UFA and publicly denounce Destiny because she was afraid that Trump would eventually throw all of us, all of the UFA people, into prison for his comments. And I asked her towards the end of that conversation, after arguing about how that was just stupid in general, towards the end of it, I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I've kind of overlooked something massive here. You are so appalled and disgusted by the things that Destiny said that you think that something that might happen, something that genuinely might occur, is that we all get thrown into jail over it. All the people that are just tangentially connected to him through UFA get tossed into jail over it. And you are still a Trump supporter, correct? And she said yes. What? So she believes that it is something that he would do. That is in his character. That is within his. That is a thing that man would do to people. Still supports him, but yet begged me to leave UFA for being tangentially connected to Destiny. What the fuck? How do we solve that? How do we solve a problem like that in this country?
I don't know your mom. I don't know, like having.
It's not just her. That is a not uncommon view amongst.
I agree.
People.
I agree.
I'll give that credit.
The issue is like, respectfully, I don't give a fuck about conservative MAGA boomers at all. I care about like moderate 35-year-olds. That's who I mostly care about because they're voting and they're still. Off. I mean, you shouldn't like the
not only in my personal life. That's not what I'm saying. Not like fuck my parent. No, I mean like just be like, I don't care what you people think.
Well, at the personal level, deep canvassing is the only way to reach those type of people. If you're talking about people like solidly in a red camp, I'm going to pause again.
The pool dollar invested $5. Can you name me a left-wing leaning influencer or podcaster that had the ear of the Democrat politicians like the right have with Trump?
What I understand, Stephen's mom is the exact same way.
The person said, can you name me a left-leaning influencer or podcaster that had the ear of the Democrat politicians like the right have with Trump? I don't need to because I've never for once said that Republicans are better. Like what? I don't need to do this. I don't need to do this performance where I'm like equating these two things because I'm not equating these two things.
Yeah, it's bad. We all agree it's bad.
What I'm saying is stop fucking complaining. Get good. Get good. And yes, the obstacles are monumentous. They're very hard. And the other team is cheating a lot. But we've all just agreed that we don't actually want the Democrats to cheat. Because I even said to Stephen, well, why don't we just start spreading misinformation and make like crazy conspiracy theories? Boomers love that shit. And most people are like, no, I don't want to do that. I think misinformation is worse. Like, I think that's bad.
Did he say that? Did he say he didn't want to do that?
Yeah, he doesn't want to do misinfo.
Okay, all right, that's good. That's good. At least because I can see a world in which he's like, you know what? You're right. Fuck it.
Most people on the left are like, yeah, we shouldn't do like misinfo. So it's like, okay, we've already just agreed that we want to be more principled. So now what we have to do is get good. Like, yes, we are the underdog. Yes, we're having higher standards for ourselves than the Republicans are having for themselves. And we are also being treated like we are worse. And yes, that's bullshit. And yes, that makes it really difficult. But also, if democracy matters, if we actually care about it, then the reality is that we have to just keep updating our strategy. And I believe that like Democrats, you guys are apparently the more moral, more educated, smart, more social media in touch group. Fucking figure it out. There's got to be a plan, a solution that can work here. There's no world that we just, or I guess democracy's over. Or if the voters are the problem, the democracy's over. You shouldn't care about democracy anymore anyways. But I think we do care about democracy and we do care about these things. So we have to stop fucking complaining about how the right is worse. It's dumb. If you're playing Counter-Strike and every time you lost, you called cheats, even if it's true, but you never did any aim training, you never learn callouts, and you only use your pistol, you fucking suck. Stop complaining, start training, get better, work together, support Unfuck America, support Chorus, support David Backman, like support people who are doing good things, and stop working with communists.
True. And also use my donation link, not cut. No, I'm kidding. Okay. I swear to God, I swear to you, I'm not bullshitting. This is my actual last question because you reminded me super hard of it. You take the view, which you're generally probably correct on, that there are certain aspects of what the right has become that is left wing, that is our fault. What do you think about the concept of prosecuting crimes that were born in the Trump administration when we take back everything, assuming
Democrats
we take back everything?
always run big complex cities like New York or Chicago, and the right uses these cities to malign liberal governance. Is this solvable?
Okay, the GOP uses the tactic of
The
attacking
Poll
the
$E invested $5. No,
Sorry.
this comment was from your comment about that we let the far left take over our party. In reality, ignores them constantly. That's why I can't name one.
TikTok's my main source of income, and that looks like it's about to go bye-bye. So
yeah, the GOP uses this tactic attacking liberal cities as chaotic and lawless. Democrats always run big, complex cities like New York or Chicago, and the right uses these cities to malign. Is this solvable? I think it's solvable by like abundance rhetoric of being like, yeah, like these are, just like Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was able to sell the Second Amendment by being like, some gun deaths are a problem that we're willing to have. Yes, these cities have lots of problems. They're also the major GDP outputs. They're also the technology hubs and centers. Like just keep doing that. The answer to your mom, what do you do with your mom? Hopefully you can keep talking to your mom. Like deep canvassing, I think, is the only way to reach like solid base members and like move them, because at that point they are almost giving up a religion to switch their political identity. I just think moderates are a lot more reachable. I don't care about convincing my crazy AI brainwormed dad about shit. Like I just don't really care. And he's Canadian, so I don't give a fuck, right? But I do care about like moderate 35-year-olds.
I just wanted to see what your take on that was. Like, I agree with you. Like, that's my exact view on it too. Just like, you're never being convinced ever, literally ever. So it's whatever.
Gotcha.
So
Okay, and your last question.
What about prosecutions for Trump admin people that committed crimes? Because you take the view that some of our actions have pushed them farther and farther, do you think that would too? And is it worth the trade-off to get some justice for some of these things?
If they've actually done something like blatantly illegal,
I don't think it matters. Well, yeah, sorry. It matters on our side. It matters on our side. Like, of course, we would only ever prosecute people that literally, actually, for real committed crimes. But
and
no matter what I'm saying, what I mean is that even if they did, they won't. Most like the Republican media apparatus will never say that. They'll never believe it. They'll tell their people that they're being politically persecuted. And given that info, do we take the trade anyway? And
two, the question would be, is this a standard thing that's happening in politics all the time? And just because they were part of the opposing side, are they getting tried? Or is this something unique that occurred that needs to be corrected in a precedent set? Because like, for example, the IRS will every now and then like audit somebody who's just like their face pops up in some like political way in ways that's like really fucking weird. And it seems like they don't just audit other people on these same things. Would be like all like insider trading. I feel like everyone's like so mad about insider trading, except like only like one person gets published every now and then, and it's kind of like the unspoken like crime that everyone fucking does. So it would be those two things. Like if they broke a crime and it's a crime that like is precedent setting in a bad way, then yeah, you should definitely like charge them for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be worried about the backlash from the other side at all?
The backlash.
Just think about. I mean, look at Trump. Like the argument, people make the argument, and I think they're probably fucking right that he gained more support being prosecuted. But some of the stuff he's being prosecuted for, he fucking deserved it. Not actually, no. All of the shit he was charged with, he did do those things. There were crimes and he committed them. It's just a matter of, was it worth the trade? Should we have pressed the charges?
Yeah, it's kind of like when when a cop is just trying to get you, so they just throw like every charge at you, and it's like, well, some of them, you know, are fair, but like some of them are like, not that super great. So I don't know the law well enough, but if essentially what they did was precedent breaking and it erodes the strength of the institution, then it needs to be corrected, because even the backlash that will come from it, the institution has to be regirded, because like that falling apart, the media apparatus matters a lot. The institutions actually being degraded and corruption being more possible is like the worst possible outcome. That like has to happen, obviously. So if they're doing crimes that are like genuine and eroding the institution, then yeah, we need to like clap that down. If they're doing shit that everyone is doing on both sides, honestly, at that point, fucking prosecute all of them. I would personally, I would like to throw the book at everyone who's breaking.
Yeah, I mean, I would too.
Okay. Left or
I just
right.
wanted to see where you're at on it. Ultimately, it's not going to matter because Trump is going to pardon everyone on his way out the door. So it's not going to matter.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely shouldn't do it until after he's gone, at least.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Well, thanks for chatting.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.